Hi everyone! In this podcast, I want to tell you how you can start your new year creatively. And I'm going to give you 10 tips that help you start a creative practice in 2025. The new year is a perfect moment to start a creative practice because we are full of New Year's resolutions, we see lots of inspiration around us, and it's just the perfect time to set this goal to make creativity part of your life in the next year. My name is Irene and I'm an artist, an illustrator, an educator. I blog on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can sort of see me everywhere talking about creativity and art. I teach in-person art classes in Cambridge in the UK, and I have an online global community where people join in and learn how to draw and paint and how to let go of perfectionism. Let's dive into my first tip. My first tip is to make your art practice as simple as possible. You want it to be really accessible and keep the barrier to make something every day as low as possible. So how I did this when I first started out is by using a really small sketchbook that I carried around everywhere and that I put next to my sofa in the evening, just with a ballpoint pen, and that was all I needed. My pen and my tiny sketchbook. And the sketchbook was only like pocket size, teeny tiny. It meant that the barrier to start sketching was really low. I did not need to search for materials, I did not need to get anything ready, and I did not need to spend any money on starting my art practice. And that leads straight into my second tip, and that is sketch every day. I know that sounds a lot, but that sketching practice does not need to take a lot of time. I recommend just 5 or 10 minutes a day, really quick sketch that you fit in a moment of your day when you're not really doing anything else. So when you're sitting on the sofa watching a TV series in the evening, grab your sketchbook and just sketch something that you see in front of you. Your feet, the sofa, the rug on the floor, your cat, maybe your children playing, a character from TV. There are so much things that are already in your room that you can quickly sketch out. And just use really simple materials, as I said in my first tip. Just use a pen, one pencil, one pen, and a tiny sketchbook. That's all you need to get started. And once you start building that habit and you get momentum going, you will notice it gets easier and easier. And your drawings will get better and better as well. In this video that I have linked here at the top, you can see how I did this 100 heads challenge, where I sketched out 100 heads, one head a day. And I only used ballpoint pen and a tiny sketchbook. And the first few drawings are terrible. They are really cringy because the proportions are all wrong and they're just terrible drawings. You will see that over time my drawings get better, and actually quite quickly. I numbered all the faces that I drew, and you can quickly see how I'm improving whilst I'm learning. And you will notice this in your own drawings too. So that is my next tip. Set yourself a challenge. Draw 100 of anything. 100 mushrooms, 100 cats, 100 hens or faces if you want to make the challenge a little bit more complicated. You can look up loads of references on Pinterest or in other places where you have boards and boards full of reference photos that you can use just to practice from at home. Remember that on Pinterest most photos are licensed, so you cannot sell this art, but to practice this is absolutely perfectly fine. And there's a lot of artists who do this and who create boards for you just to practice from. If you head over to my Pinterest, you will find a lot of boards already that you can start using with faces references, with hens, with different animals. Set yourself a challenge and draw the same thing over and over again, and you will notice it will really quickly start getting easier. So pick a subject that you feel passionate about, that you enjoy, whether that is your favorite animal, maybe children playing, or maybe a plant or flowers. Pick something that you enjoy doing and that you want to keep doing for a while, for 100 times, which is just over 3 months, which is not that long. And draw one of these every day, just in 5 or 10 minutes. And it's a really great way to get started. If you struggle drawing by yourself, consider joining my creative community, where you can draw together with other people. We come together once a week and we paint and we draw in our sketchbooks together. And every week there's a different topic or new material that we try out. So it's a really fun way of introducing yourself to different art materials and different ways of looking at a sketchbook. Really fun and inspiring place to be in. My next tip is to set up a creative space where you can work really easily. And it needs to be a space that you feel happy in and that you enjoy spending time in. So whether that is in your office, you clean your desk and you put some nice pens and pencils ready to use, or get your watercolors out and you make it a really lovely creative space to be in. Or it's just a corner on your couch and you make a little tin, a little box where you keep your art materials in that you put under the couch, and whenever you're ready to start making your art, you just take out that tin with your sketchbook in it, with your pen or pencils or a tiny tin of watercolors, whatever it is that you want to use, and have it really handy in a location where you can access it easily. So whether that is in your office, on the sofa, or in your handbag, so you can take it with you wherever you travel, maybe on your commute is a really nice place to draw. I started drawing in my commute when I still worked in London and I was still in a corporate job. I used to have a sketchbook with me that I used to sketch people on the train, and I used to carry it around all the time, and it was a really great way of making my commute a little bit more fun and a little bit more creative. So whatever that space is for you, make sure that it is ready to go and that you have all your materials that you want within reach, because that makes life so much easier and you can really start building that habit. Once you have a little bit of momentum going, you might want to consider exploring some new materials. And just walking into an art shop will give you so much inspiration for things to use and to try out. And I always feel like I'm a kid in a candy shop when I walk into an art shop. Try not to feel overwhelmed. Try one material at a time. So have a look online, or maybe in my Pinterest or in my Instagram, you can see lots of examples of different materials that I've used over the years. And see if there's something that resonates with you. It might be marker, it might be crayons, it might be color pencil or watercolors. And whatever you choose, if you are going to try something new, try and stick with it for at least a little bit. So try and resist buying loads of art materials at once, because you probably feel overwhelmed and they will just start gathering dust in your cupboard. I know that this happens to many people, because this is one of the questions that I get very often. So just try and use one at a time and just slowly start to become more familiar with them. And then when you're ready, you can start combining different materials, because it's really fun to, for example, do a layer of watercolors and then draw over it in pencil or pen, or use marker and then go over it with crayon. And I very often use mixed media in my classes and in my own art. I love mixing up different materials. But it's very helpful to make yourself familiar with your individual materials first, so you know how they react, and just have a play. I think this is sort of leading into the next tip. Just play. You don't need to show your artwork to anyone. You don't need to share it with the world. You don't need to, put it on Instagram or other social medias. You can just draw, put it in a sketchbook and just keep it for yourself. Your sketchbook can be your sanctuary. It can be your journal. It can be a place for you to just create. And it's okay if it's messy. It's okay if you don't like what you've made. And slowly, the more you make, the more you get used to that feeling. And the more you start liking your art and the more you start feeling proud of what you create. And if you then want to start sharing things, you can. But I don't want you to feel the pressure to immediately share with the world what you're making. You don't even have to show it to your family members or friends or neighbors. Just keep it to yourself for a little while, just until you have started to build a little bit of momentum and a bit of confidence, and you start to feel ready to show it. The trick is to keep going, even on days when it's a little bit harder. And it will get easier, I promise you, with anything that you practice. Whether it is a sport, or you want to learn singing, or you're starting to cook new dishes and you're exploring. And the more times you do something, the easier it gets. And I promise you that that is the case for drawing and painting as well. Anyone can learn how to draw. It's a skill and it just takes practice, dedication, momentum, and a little bit of tips and tricks and techniques that I can help you with, that I can teach you. And just keep going. It is not something that you need to have magical talent for, that is only a few people in the world already know. Everyone who is good at drawing has started somewhere and just got to where they are by practicing. And you can learn this too. So on days when it's hard, just remember that practice makes perfect and just keep going and practice more. And if you don't like the page you've made, just turn the page. Do a next one. It's okay. If you really feel really uncomfortable with what you made, you can always glue over a piece of paper or put a post-it over it, and then you just look under it if you want to have that reminder. You don't need to keep looking at the art that you don't like. But also, it is part of the process. And the more art you create, the more comfortable you will get with making mistakes and making art that you don't like. Because getting comfortable with that is part of the process. I still make sketches and drawings that I'm not happy with, that I don't like. But I'm okay with it because I know that if I work through that, and if I trust the process and if I carry on, I will create things that I am very proud of and that I am very happy with in the long run. And also something that happens is that you create a piece of art, and I make this sometimes. I create a piece of art and I hate it. I feel so cringy about it. I'm like, oh no, I can't believe that I made something so bad. And then I put it away, and then I look at it again a day later or a week later or sometimes a month later. And then I see it again, and suddenly I look at it with fresh eyes. And the chances are that I like that piece of art now, that I see beauty in there that I did not see in the beginning when I first originally made it. So it's good to not immediately throw the art away that you don't like, but put it in a folder, keep it in your sketchbook, don't rip it out, just leave it there. And then, who knows, you might look back at it in a few weeks' time and suddenly recognize the beauty in it, or recognize the journey, or see how far you've come. Because it's really fun to see your progress and see what you have learned over time. So I challenge you to not throw away the art that you don't like. Keep it and see what it does to you in the long run. You look at it again. There are a lot of creative challenges out there that you can join and that you can get inspiration from. So if you don't know what to draw, have a look. There is Inktober. You've got Mermaid, where you draw mermaids every day. There is an animal prompt list in October. There is a magical prompt list. There is have a look at art challenges online, and there's so many challenges that you can join in. So if you find it hard to come up with ideas, join a drawing challenge, and it can really help you generate some ideas and come up with ideas. I've joined many drawing challenges in the past, and I always learned so much from it just by setting that dedication to complete the challenge and starting it, and then creating things that might be a little bit out of my comfort zone or a little bit different from what I would normally choose myself. So I really recommend check out some drawing challenges. I think that we're sort of winding up this podcast. This is sort of the end of my tips for today. There's going to be many more podcasts in the new year, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, and that you turn on all the notifications and everything wherever you're listening to this. And I'll be with you again soon. And then one little bonus tip is have fun. Make sure you have fun with your art practice. This is something that you're doing for yourself. This is something that you do to develop yourself creatively, and it is supposed to be fun. It's okay if it's a little bit difficult at times, but I want you to enjoy it. Draw things that you find fun. Draw things that bring you joy. Use materials that you find joyful, whatever it may be, and just have fun in the process. My name is Irene. My business is called Makings and Musings, and I will see you online on one of my social media accounts, here on this podcast, or in one of my classes or courses really soon. All the details will be in the show notes, and I will see you really soon.